The WNBA was having a moment, the kind of moment you dream about when you're a growing league trying to claw your way into the mainstream. He had sold out arenas, headlines on ESPN, Twitter, X meltdowns over highlight clips, and one-I'm most exciting rookies in any sport, Caitlin Clark. It was the moment, a golden hour, and instead of treating that moment with care, the league and some with players took a wrecking ball to it. Let's rewind the problem. If you're here for the real story and not to filter version, subscribe. And if you're sticking around for the next meltdown, you better definitely subscribe. It starts with a simple eternal truth of sports fans are everything. They buy the jerseys, they pack the arenas, they boost the ratings, they tweet, post, cheer, cry, boom, and fight with strangers online about stats that don't even affect their real lives, and most of all, they care. Sometimes way too much. That passion, that's what makes a league matter. But lately, the WNBA has treated that passion like a nuisance. We're talking fan getting ejected from games for, say, the word flop. People escorted out of arenas for bowing in sports, the original soundtrack of rivalry and competition. Now look, we all get it. Nobody wants the games become a free for all the toxicity. There's a line. But when you start acting like any form of passionate, nonviolent sports bar banner is some kind of personal attack, you've lost the plot. Because the second you tell fans are not allowed feel things, that their voices are a threat, you're not creating a safe environment, you're creating a sterile one, lifeless, cold. And guess what happens when sports stop feeling alive? People stop watching and addict. Exactly what happened. Let's talk numbers, because numbers don't lie and they don't sugarcoat either. Play viewership down 50%. That's not a dip, that's not a slump, that's a free fall. And it's not hard to trace the cause, because ever since Caitlin Clark's team got banned from the postseason, the league eggs momentum van. It's like a fake crowd noise been getting turned off, poof, gone. And we're supposed to pretend that's just a coincidence. The truth is, Caitlin Clark brought in millions of new eyes, fans who might never have tuned him before, young girls, casual viewers, hardcore who peds, all of them Sunday. He invested not just in Clark, but in the WNBA itself. But instead of embracing that spotlight, the league out weirdly defensive players roll their eyes at the attention. Press conferences turned passive-aggressive. Fans of Clark relabel bandwagon, or is in casuals as of that a bad thing you want. Casuals, that's how leagues grow. Let's be real, no sports league survives on diehard alone. You need the dad flipping channels, the high school or scrolling YouTube, the newbie who doesn't know what a pick and roll is but just loves watching Caitlin at logo threes. Those are your future lifers. And instead of rolling out the red carpet of them, what are the league do? They pulled the rug out from under them. Let's talk tone, because there's been a major one bordering on hostile from some players. There's been a real "we don't need you" energy, not just toward Clark, but toward her fans, toward new fans, like their support isn't earned, like they're late to the party and therefore uninvited. Since when did gatekeeping grow the game? Some players, and let's be clear, not all, seem more interested in reminding people they were here first and in welcoming people in. And while yes, credit is due to the pioneers, the trailblazers, the vet to build a foundation, growth means laying others build on it. And his attitude, a widow, no fans, anything, it's poison. Because yes, you do have the fans something, you're them effort, you owe them respect, and you definitely older more than objection for getting a little loud at a basketball game. Where we doing here, turning courtside into church pews? This is professional sports. Emotions run high, that's the point, that's what makes it fun. Let's not forget the NBA thrives on energy. You think fans don't scream flop and Marcus Smart, you think that Braun has been booed, and every major city outside LA, these guys get roasted daily. They don't reject the crowd, a few off of it. And that's the difference. Real stars know how to use that noise. They don't silence it, they own it. Now, let's bring it back to Kathy Engelberg, commissioner, CEO, architect of the league's future, or at least supposed to be. Kathy, respectfully, wake up. This is your moment to lead, because if you're still, say, around the boardroom saying we're trending in the right direction, you're not watching the same games we are. This 50% drop, this isn't just about Caitlin Clark being a playoff, it's about what happened when she was in. You saw the excitement, the sold out arenas, the headlines, the highlight reels. That wasn't fluke, that wasn't hype. That was interest, real, tangible, valuable interest in the league. Let it slip to their fingers instead of harnessing that spotlight. Elevate everyone the league. Allow resentment to faster instead of promoting rising stars alongside Clark. Some players treated her like a threat. The message became, you don't belong here. And guess what? If fans feel that way, they'll leave. And you can't build a league on antagonism. You can't create longevity of your relationship with your own supporters is strained, petty, and fragile. The WNBA has everything it needs: a thrive, talent, passion, a growing audience, a powerful cultural message. But none of that matters if you treat your fans like the problem instead the priority. The truth is simple. You can't grow what you won't nurture, and right now fans are being nurtured. They're being policed, ridiculed, ignored. That's not growth, that's regression. This is a reckoning moment. The league is on the edge, 1 foot in a breakout era, 1 foot in relevance, and how it responds to this exact situation will define the next decade. So what needs to change? Start here. Respect fans like they matter, because they do. That includes and newbies, the loud ones, the messy ones, because sports are supposed to be messy. That's what makes them real. Stop turning players into victims every day. I'm a fan. Boos. This is professional sports. Toughen up, get booed, and ball out. That's how legends are made. Promote your stars, but also teach the media maturity. When the cameras are rolling, you are not just a player, you're brand ambassador. You're the face of something bigger than yourself. Act like it. Kathy Engelbert set the tone. Step out of corp or fog and into the fire. Fans want to see leadership, not silence. Set a standard for conduct, fan engagement, and league identity, because right now is all over the place. And finally, remember why you're here. This is not about proving who's been overlooked. This is about never being overlooked again. If the WNBA wants a rise, it has to invite people in, not with shame, not with lectures, with energy, with personality, with stories, with moments. Because right now, the only moment people are talking about is the one the league just lost. So here's your friendly, dramatic, borderline desperate reminder: respect the fans, embrace the stars, drop the pettiness, and for the love of all things basketball, don't silence the people who are literally paying to watch you play. Fix it now or lose. You'll lose everything later. The clock is ticking, and the stands, they're already getting quieter. You see, this isn't just about booing or one star player missing from playoff. It's about momentum, that magical, elusive force that every sports league dreams of, and the WNBA, they had it. But now the same people who were hyped a month ago are wondering if they should even care. Let's be honest, this league finally had a shot at capturing hearts and headlines. You had sellout crowds in every market. Caitlin Clark played in kids wearing Fever jerseys, and cities that didn't even have WNBA teams. Corporate sponsors knocking on door, casual fans suddenly throwing out stats like they've been following the league for years. It wasn't just hype, it was hope. And then somehow, instead of building a bridge to welcome that new wave of fans, the league threw up a velvet rope, a metaphorical bouncer, the door with a clipboard saying, sorry, you're not real fans. You can come in wearing Caitlin Clark merch. Like, would imagine if the NBA treated Steph Curry fans as way when he exploded onto the scene. Imagine if the NFL told patrimony stands to sit down and wait their turn. You know what would have happened? Decline, decay, irrelevance, because sports are built on fandom, not just tradition. And fandom is emotional, it's messy, it's loud, it's passionate, it's imperfect. But guess what? That passion pays the bills. That passion buys a lead time grow of funds you programs. It keeps teams, and so cities. It convinces networks to renew broadcast deals. So the idea that booing or chanting something is Tamer's flopper is now considered ejection worthy. It's laughable. You're not just policing fans, you're punishing them for carrying. You're creating an environment where no one feels safe to feel anything, and that's the death of spa as entertainment. You know what? People don't tune in for silence. They want the drama, the noise, the energy. They want the possibility that something wild could happen at any moment. A buzzer beater, a dust up, a tech, a moment. But what the league has done lately is strip those moments away under the guise of respect, when in reality it's been more about ego. And let's talk about that ego for a second, because when fans showed up excited, invested, maybe a little loud, and were met not with gratitude but with attitude, that was the start of the unraveling. There's a difference between confidence and condescension, between pride and pettiness, and for lead that should be meeting this moment with open arms and big smiles. Too many players and officials acted like they were offended by the attention, like the fans owed them something just for showing up. No, that backwards. Yes, the WNBA has been criminally underrated. Yes, these athletes deserve more, they always have, and now finally the world is don't wake up and give it. But growth doesn't mean you get to skip the messy part. Growth is humbling, it's awkward, it requires patience, it means teaching the game to new fans instead of mocking them, it means adding new faces without making a competition about who earned what, it means playing the long game. Because if you keep burning bridges every time a new fan doesn't know your stat line from 2016, you won't have any fans left. And let's talk about that drop in viewership again, because at 50% is not just number, that's half your audience gone. That's tens of thousands, possibly hundreds of thousands of people who said, "And I'm good." You think they all just forgot the games were on? No, they checked out, they felt the energy shift, they saw the drama, they heard the snark, and they dipped. People don't leave when they feel included, they leave when they feel unwanted. And this attitude is "we don't need you, we were fine without you" energy might feel empowering the moment, but as delusional in a long term, because here's the cold truth: the WNBA is not fine without fans. It never was. No league is, not the NBA, not the NFL, not the Olympics. The moment you start treating fans like liabilities instead of lifelines, that's when you start the clock on your own expiration date. And if you're Kathy Engelberg, this is the part where you should be pacing your office floor at midnight, because the numbers are in, the vibe is off. And the people who tuned in, who bought the tickets to merge the league pass inscriptions, they're say out loud now, "This is what we signed up for." They came for exciting basketball, they stayed for drama, but they're leaving because the league feels like a cold shoulder. So where does it go from here? What is a course correction even look like when foundation is already cracking? Let's lay it out plain and simple first. There needs to be a league-wide culture reset starting at the top. Kathy, if you're listening, you set the tone. If your players don't feel like the fans matter, is because you haven't made it clear they do. Second, publicly recommit to fan engagement, not lip service, not "we love our fans" tweet. It show it. Let players talk to kids after games. Stop ejecting people for clapping too hard. Create space for passionate but respectful fan interaction. Third, embrace the new wave of casual fans. Educate them, invite them in, let them grow with the league instead of trying to measure them against some imaginary loyalty test. Fourth, get your stars on the same page. The league can't afford as Carson division that's versus rookies, old fans versus new ones. If the face of your brand is giving side eye, do your most marketable player or fans that a branding failure, not a personality comp. Leaked. And finally, bring back to fun somewhere along the way. The WNBA got heavy, defensive, cynical. Sports are supposed to be joyful, passionate, over the top. We need buzzer beaters and memes. We need trash talk and team hogs. We need stakes and silliness, because right now it feels like we're walking on eggshells and nobody wants to pay money to feel like they're attending a mandatory seminar. The league is at a fork in a road. They can go left down the path of ego, isolation, and crumbling ratings, or they can go right toward growth, unity, and find it, becoming the cultural powerhouse they were meant to be. But make no mistake, there is no middle path. The audience is watching, the media is watching, the fans are watching, and more importantly, they're waiting to see if this league wants them or if they should spend their time, energy, and money somewhere else. So here, as the closing message to the WNBA, you ask for the spotlight, you earned it, you got it. But now you're acting like you want to turn off. Don't waste the moment, because moments like this, they don't come back around, not without damage. So take a breath, refocus, reconnect with your face, fans, with your identity, with your purpose, and maybe, just maybe, the next headline won't be about 50% drop. It would be about a league that remembered who it's really for: the game, the fans, the future. Don't mess it up. And I know some of you might be thinking, is it really that deep? Isn't this just a rough stretch, a couple of bad PR moments? Oh no, this is deep. This is what happens when a league spends 20 plus years begging world and notice them on a finally get the spotlight, and in turn around and start slapping hands away. Let's go ahead and call is what it is. That you can't sit with his era of WB, because that's what it felt like for the last several months. There's been this attitude, this chip on the shoulder: we built this without you, so now we don't need you energy. It's not empowering, it's alienating. And let's be clear, people get the frustration. The league and his players have been overlooked, underpaid, dismissed, and disrespected for years. That pain is real, that fight for recognition is valid. And for a long time, the mainstream did ignore the greatness happening in women's basketball. But now that the mainstream is finally showing up, you want to throw shade of bandway. Wiggins' sweetheart, that is the wagon. That's the whole point. The moment you start choosing who gets to be a fan, who's worthy of supporting you, you miss the entire plot. Professional sports, young gate, keep your audience, you grow it. And you certainly don't punish the new fan for not knowing the W history book by heart. Can you? And imagine if the NBA had done this in the 90s, if they had told every new fan who started watching because Jordan's sorry come back when you memorize Bob Cousy, the assists record exactly, they'd be bankrupt. Instead, they welcomed the wave, they sold the jerseys, they leaned into the drama, they build a legacy off the chaos. Meanwhile, here's the WNBA tossing fans out of games, being too enthusiastic, ejecting people for heckling like they're in a Broadway theater instead an arena. It's giving fun police. And let's talk about that tone from certain players, the side eyes, the subtle digs, the social media posts that sound like some tweets directed at their own fans, as if saying you're only here because of Caitlyn is some sort of own okay. And yes, people are here because of Caitlin Clark. You know why? Because she's that good, she's exciting, she's explosive, she's fresh, she represents the exact kind of energy this league has needed to finally tip the scales from niche to mainstream. So why are we acted like that's a bad thing? Every league has that player, Serena, Tiger, Brady, Steph, Simone, Conor McGregor, for cry going out loud. You get a star gravity. You don't hide them, you don't downplay them, you build around them, and more importantly, you include everyone they bring with them. That's what growth looks like. But right now, the WNBA is treating growth like an invasion and is not just costing them buzz or clout out, it's costing them eyeballs. Let's go back to that 50% play of viewership drop. That's not just a stat, that a warning siren. That's the market literally saying you lost us. And the craziest part, it didn't even have a happen, because yes, losing Caitlin Clark in the early round hurt, that much is obvious. But what hurt more was a complete and total failure to retain those new viewers once she was gone. If your entire business model crumbles the moment one player gets eliminated, guess what? You don't have a league, you have a live stream fan club, and you can't survive like that. So what the answer? Here's the part that no one wants to say out loud: the WNBA needs to grow up, not in terms of talent, not in terms of production quality, not in terms of value. In all those categories, it's already elite, but emotionally, as a brand, as business, this league is acting like a teenager who just got noticed at the cool kids table and doesn't know whether to act grateful or start throwing shade. You can be both the underdog and the gatekeeper. You can't demand recognition and then scoff at the people giving it to you, and you definitely can't expect loyalty while actively pushing way. And I know the counter argument: real fans will stick around, okay, but new fans matter too. And you don't earn lifelong support by humiliating or policing people in the stands. You earn it by inviting them and letting them care loudly, letting them make it personal. Let's talk about culture, because that's what does all comes down to. The WNBA as a strong culture of sisterhood, activism, perseverance, community. But what it's missing right now is openness and, frankly, a sense of humor, a little self-awareness, a willingness to play the game both on the court and in the world of sport. Entertainment. You can't pretend you're too serious for all that fanfare and then cry foul when the fanfare disappears. You can't market yourself as the next big thing while acting like the fans are lucky just be in the room. That's not how stars are born, that's how leagues flatline. So here's the real talk: the WNBA isn't too late to fix this, but the window is closing. Because if you think fans are going to stick around out of obligation, if you think corporate sponsors are going to throw millions at a product with dwindling viewership and in fighting on social media, that's a losing bet. And the tragedy is, it doesn't have to be this way. This league is sitting on a gold mine: talent, charisma, cultural relevance, young stars who could dominate the next decade, an audience that's willing to fall in love with it. All has to do is stop acting like it's too good for that love. Let the fans be messy, let them boo, let them scream, let some argue online about rotations and MVP picks. Let them be obsessed. That's how fan bases are made, because right now the only thing the WNBA is building his reputation for being ungrateful, and that is so much harder to recover from than a playoff loss. So Kathy Engelberg, players, marketing teams, whoever is running the ship, pull the emergency brake, recalibrate, bring the fans back into the fold, create space for passion, for noise, for joy, because the